I give myself permission for it to not go well. That's the thing that I do most when it comes to my business. I think I take risks and I know that, you know what, if it doesn't pan out, we got to pivot. So don't attach your confidence to the outcome. Attach it to the mission and the purpose of the why.
Creating a life that is authentic, bold, and purposeful takes audacity and truth-telling. It takes disruption. That is what it means to be a professional troublemaker. Professional Troublemaker is a best-selling book, this podcast, and frankly, a life habit. And I'm your host, Luvvie Ajayi Jones. I'm here to bring you perspectives, deep dives, and conversations about culture, business, life, and leadership. And welcome to Season 5, which I'm really excited about. This season is dedicated to the glory and grit of entrepreneurship. 2023 was my toughest year as a business owner, and there was a point where I was 3 months away from being bankrupt. So let's talk about it. Let's get really real about running your own business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because while people love to glorify entrepreneurship, they often leave out the tough lessons, the failures, and the pivots that have had to happen. My hope after this series of episodes is that you feel more informed about what it truly takes to run a purpose-driven business. You feel less alone about all the times you messed up, and you walk away knowing what to avoid so you don't make some of the same mistakes I've made. Let's get into it.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Professional Troublemaker. And on this one, this is the one I promised y'all that I definitely was going to bring to you, which is answering your good questions around entrepreneurship, around business. So we got a bunch of responses across social media, across the AskLuvvie.com page. So here are some that I thought were really interesting. So, okay. My first question is from Shanice, and she asks, how do you build your self-confidence when you bring a new product to the market or when you're tackling a hard problem? Ooh, that's good. Okay, so how I build my self-confidence, honestly, I know that it might not go well, and I give myself permission for it to not go well. That's the thing that I do most when it comes to my business. I think I take risks, and I know that, you know what, if it doesn't pan out, we got to pivot. So don't attach your confidence to the outcome. Attach it to the mission and the purpose of the why. Because if you attach your confidence to the outcome, like let's say you're doing a launch, like you said, new product on the market. You pre-plan the launch, create a strategy for it, create an execution plan, a project plan, know that this is something that your audience has wanted, maybe do some surveying. If you do all of that, you've done your part, right? Now, when you bring it to the market, how it behaves is a data point. So if it goes well, you go, okay, we have something great here. If it does not go well, you go, well, we might need to adjust something. But do not let it hit your confidence to the point where you're like, oh, I'm a terrible business person. I'm a bad person. I didn't do enough. It's teaching you what you need to do different. So again, your confidence shouldn't be attached to whether it did well. Do not use that to diminish yourself or your efforts. Maybe what it's showing you is that you need to point efforts towards something else, or for the next time you try it, it needs to look different. But still know that the mission is important. All right. So I think that's really important. Again, y'all are talking to somebody who almost went bankrupt in 2023. At no point did I think I was less smart. It did hit my confidence in that me watching my company crumble had me questioning myself and my judgment. But my purpose and my mission still kept me going, even in the worst moments when I couldn't get out of bed. So yeah, just remember that. Like really tie your confidence as much as you can to the purpose of the work. All right. Keisha asks, how and when do you know it's time to change your pricing structure? Oh, this is an art, not a science. Okay, so pricing is fluid based on market, based on your positioning, based on your ideal clients. So I'll tell you, for example, when we did the first cohort of the Book Academy, that cohort was at $495 per person. I looked at the market, at what my peers were charging, and I wanted to give a deep discount because it was my beta test. It was my first time, right? So I was like, $495 for a live 6-session cohort with me is a steal. But I'm like, this is my first time, so I'm going to offer it at this price for founding members and to learn more, right? To learn about what I need to change for the next time. I basically used it as a focus group. And I said to people, this is the cheapest it will be. The next launch for the Book Academy was at $897 early bird and $997 normal. Because I told people, hey, this is the cheapest it will be. So how you determine your pricing, literally do the research. What were other courses charging? What are other people who are in my industry charging for their courses? And then I add more because of my brand prestige and my experience that they might not have. So do that research. And what makes you change is if you realize you are undercharging or overcharging. So let's say I did the launch and I discovered that only 10 people signed up, then either I did not talk to the right people or I priced it wrong. And in that case, I need to change my price. My pricing as a speaker has increased over the years as my accomplishments have increased, as my platform has grown, and as I've deepened my own brand prestige, right? So when I hit the Times list, when I hit the New York Times bestselling list for the first time in 2016, I got a phone call at 5:03 that I hit the list. At 5:15, when I called my speaker's agent, he literally was like, well, we've officially doubled your fees. That one credential doubled my fees. So there's a lot of different things that comes into play when you are just thinking about changing your price, but base it in something real. Not just like, I think I'm worth this, so I'm going to charge this. Is this based in what the market is charging? Is this based in additional credentials or experience that you've gotten? Is there a benchmark for it? Because I think a lot of people make a mistake of picking a number just because they think it sounds good. I think I should do that, but why? So yeah, that's a big one. Hey, y'all. So let's take a quick break from the episode to talk about something that most of us deal with every single month, and that is our periods. And if you're like me, you've got too much going on to let on flow slow you down. And that's where today's sponsor comes in. Best Period. Yes, that's period with a T. I've talked about Best Period's menstrual cups when I did my Black Biz Love campaign, amplifying incredible Black businesses that I love across categories. Best Period, the menstrual cups are amazing because you insert them like tampons, but they hold all the blood. And I know for some people, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it does that. Let me tell you something right now. As somebody who uses these, they're incredible. They're incredible. And frankly, I think these could be game-changing when it comes to accessibility to period products, especially in areas where women and girls don't have access to things like tampons and pads. I think this is a game changer. And overall, it's actually really comfortable. I use them. I love them. And Best Period, I especially love these. It's owned by a young Black woman. And now they've launched in over 3,000 CVS locations. You can find them there or buy them online at bestperiod.com. That's bestperiod.com. And use the code Luvvie15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. All right? This is a much healthier way to handle your periods than tampons and a lot of pads. So jump into it, try it out. I'm telling you, it is worth your time. You use them with some period panties like Thinks or Salt. Game changer. Leak wear. Okay? So yeah, now that you're set for your best period, let's get back to the episode. Okay. Somebody's asking, what is your biggest lesson learned in balancing entrepreneurship and relationships, including non-romantic ones? Ooh, one of my biggest lessons would probably be creating space so entrepreneurship does not take over your life. That's really important. It's really easy for us to overwork and prioritize nothing but our business, especially when we're trying to grow it, especially when we are in the struggle and we're tussling. We still have to remember to build other things around us, including our relationships. So it means, yes, having date night, even though there's still 35 emails you need to answer. It means, yes, going to Sunday brunch with your friends, even though you can be working on a pitch deck. You have to be intentional about making room for more than your business because your business cannot be the totality of your life. I think about my good big sis and mentor, Tashonda Brown Duckett, and how she talks about your life should be split into a portfolio. And she told me this at a dinner once, and she's been talking about it since then. And it's been such a game changer in that, think about how if you put all your eggs in the one basket of work, what happens if work tanks? Then all the ways in which you haven't cultivated your relationships and your networks, who's going to support you through it? She talked about how if your life is a portfolio, like an investment portfolio, just like how you can't have all your money in one stock because that's too volatile. What happens if the market crashes? Entrepreneurship is just part of your life. It can't be all of it. So as you're balancing building a company and an organization with managing life, you have to slot in other things. So she talks about how, for example, in one season, you might have 40% of your energy spent on your business, okay? And then you give 20% of your energy to your husband, and then 20% to your kids, and then you now have 20%, and that includes your friends and yourself, okay? So that's how I try to do it. When I'm in book launch time, my books take up a bunch of my energy, right? And in those 3 months, I have less energy for everything else. But then once my book launch time is over, I have to reallocate that energy to all the things I had left behind. So that's my biggest advice to you. Your relationships are really important, more important than your business, more important than this company that you want to build. And knowing that your energy will have to go to your company a lot, just don't leave everybody else behind. Whether it looks like, even if you're working really hard that week, finding 2 hours to call a friend and saying, hey, let's catch up. How you doing? I just put my head up and I thought about you and I'm calling you. Sending a text message, making sure you're prioritizing your friends in a small moment. So again, if it's Saturday morning and you're like, oh, I got time for brunch before I got to get back to write this deck, do that, okay? And then one of my favorite questions that people ask, how important has mentorship been to your success as an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, and how has mentorship helped shape your leadership style? Mentorship has changed my life and given me so much more than I can even say, because my mentors, the people who I have access to, who will give me insight, who will drop what they're doing to pick up my phone call, have allowed me to have a soft place to land, even in tough moments. Oftentimes people think about mentors as somebody who you meet and then you go, can you be my mentor? And they say yes. I always say that's the wrong way to try to have and get and cultivate a mentor. It's not by asking somebody, be my mentor. All my mentors are people who I have met. I got their information. We stayed connected. We built a relationship. On their birthdays, I'll send them flowers. I'll just check in even when I don't want anything. And over time, we've built a relationship of care and respect, mutual respect. And the mentorship is organic. Mentorship is simply access to somebody you have relationship with in some way who is willing to help you. And that help can be as small as asking them an opinion on something or as big as them making a phone call on your behalf that gets you a job. My mentors have never been anybody who I've walked up to say, hey, can you be my mentor? No. I've never done that. It's because this person became my mentor after we built a relationship and I sent them a message one day needing their help or their insight, and they were available to me. And I realized this person is a mentor of mine. This person is somebody I'm learning from. This person is somebody that can honestly, mentors can also learn from their mentees, right? So you actually become, it's a mutual relationship. It's organic. It is mutually beneficial. It is fun. It's enriching, okay? So I have a bunch of mentors. I've talked about a couple of them on the show. I've quoted them. My mentors speak my name up in rooms that I'm not in. They vouch for me in ways that I probably don't even understand. And I'm a mentor to people also. So for me, mentorship is everything. Mentorship is everything. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have any mentors, you probably do. And you just haven't thought about them as mentors because you haven't asked them formally to be mentors, which you should not have to, okay? You shouldn't have to. You have mentors. Who are the people in your life who you know you can call today if you had a question and they would answer? Who are the people you know you can call for advice? Who are the people who you know are rooting for you and are like, let me know how I can help? There's somebody in your life who said that to you, whether or not you've taken them up on the offer, is a different story. But there's somebody who has said to you, let me know how I can help. They might be older than you. And you honestly, there are times when your mentors are younger, and that's great. I think we can learn from everybody. And your mentors can be people who you learn from afar too. You might not have even met them. A bunch of folks have said I'm their mentor in their head, and they've never met me. That's fantastic. If you are reading my books, if you are listening to my podcast, I am mentoring you in a way. So I also have a bunch of mentors I've never met, people whose podcasts I love, people whose books I love. So yes, mentorship is everything. It has been so integral to my journey. I always say that my journey is a testament of my hard work, the people who've spoken my name up in rooms, and God's grace. That's why I'm here. My hard work is just one out of three, at least, things. My hard work only accounts for no more than 33% of why I am here. So please find your mentors, cultivate them, don't take them for granted. And you should not be asking for favors from people you don't have the relationship with. So that's why mentorship is even so important, is because once the relationship is built, you build a network and you build a relationship before you need it. You don't build it when you need it, because what that's called is taking advantage of, right? That's what that is. So, okay. So I hope my answers were helpful to not only the people who asked the questions, but to those of you who are listening. There's so much more to come that I'm going to be sharing with you all on entrepreneurship, on business, on the practical ways to grow and scale. So that's coming. That's coming. But thank you for your questions. And my rebuild episode is also coming, because I wanted to end this season with the rebuild so that I can also include what I've been doing this last couple of months. But I am thankful to all the feedback you've given on this podcast, on this season. Continue. Please go leave reviews on Apple Podcasts for me if anything that I have said has been amazing to you. And more to come.
If you dig what you just heard and want to make sure you don't miss another episode of Professional Troublemaker, subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast fix. And leave a review. Let the folks know this is valuable content. You can follow me at Luvvie everywhere on social media, Luvvie. And if you love this podcast, you'll love my newsletter, The Love Letter, LUVVLETTER.com. That's where you go sign up, and it's my weekly note on all things culture, business, and leadership. Tap in all over, and talk to you on the next episode.